Now, 2 new developments in the case against Casey Anthony.
Today, we have received results of key FBI lab tests on crucial evidence in the case. We have team coverage right now. West 2 reporters Bob Keeling and Amanda Ober have been going over almost 400 pages of newly released documents. First, though, to Bob, and how successful were those tests in answering key questions in the case?
Well, Martha, people who've been following this case closely were anticipating these tests to see if there was a new forensic match that would explain why the state recently chose to pursue the death penalty. And the answer to that seems obvious. Investigators have been looking at trace evidence found in Casey's car trunk and the soles of her shoes to try to connect her to the wooded area where someone dumped like garbage the remains of her daughter, Kaylee. The results of recent tests done at the FBI crime lab again and again have come back negative. Nothing to indicate the material on the shoes or from the trunk is consistent with soil from the scene. Another key question they hoped lab results might help them answer: how Kaylee died. In March, tests done on her hair samples came back negative for the presence of a variety of chemicals. The reports also state they don't have testing available to check the hair for presence of chloroform, key to the state's theory of how they suspect Casey may have killed her daughter. Tests on a kitchen knife found at the scene came back positive for the presence of an adhesive, but when they tested the sample with an adhesive found on that duct tape across Kaylee's mouth, the result was negative. Lab tests were done on a .30 caliber rifle casing found, just in case there's suspicion later that a gun was used in this case. Also, film from inside a Kodak instant camera was developed, but there's no description of what the photos were. Investigators even ordered an autopsy on that 6-foot snake Roy Kronk saw near the crime scene. It appears the snake was run over by a car. So what's the bottom line to all these FBI lab results? Well, they have to be a disappointment to investigators because they just don't appear to help build the forensic case against Casey. Martha?
Bob, thanks. West 2 reporter Amanda Ober continues our live team coverage. And Amanda, in these newly released documents, it's revealed the deputy who was called to look for Kaylee Anthony's remains was actually called to that area twice.
Yes, within a 5-day period last August, Deputy Richard Kane responded to calls from both a meter reader and a volunteer searcher. Now, these documents support claims that Kane failed to properly investigate those tips and, as a result, contributed to the delay in finding Kaylee's remains.
The newly released documents seem to prove Orange County Sheriff's Deputy Richard Kane lied to investigators. Deputy Kane was called to the area near where Kaylee's body was found at least twice last August. The first time was on August 13th in response to a tip from meter reader Roy Kronk, who claimed he'd seen a suspicious bag in the woods. The second time was 5 days later when 30-year-old Keith Williams, a volunteer searcher, found a plastic bag full of toys. According to an internal police memo, Kane failed to thoroughly investigate the call from Kronk, which ultimately delayed the discovery of Kaylee's remains. The memo goes on to say Kane lied to police investigators when he initially told them he had picked up the bag Kronk spotted, but later acknowledged he did not pick up the bag.
The sheriff's office is recommending that Deputy Kane be fired, but he's filed an appeal. Now, coming up at 6, more on that volunteer searcher who also talked to Kane and the items that searcher took to Cindy Anthony. Amanda Ober reporting, West 2 News.
Amanda.